There comes a moment in life when words are no longer casual. They become commands. They are no longer sounds on the air. They are laws written in the fabric of reality. I remember the moment I said it. It wasn't in a boardroom. It wasn't on a stage. It wasn't even to another human being. It was to the infinite source that has never failed me. I stood still, my heart steady, my mind clear. I spoke, not from desperation, but from certainty. Wealth flows to me in unstoppable, ever-increasing rivers, and I live now as the owner of vast abundance. I did not plead. I did not ask, I declared, and in that instant the atmosphere shifted, not because the world had changed, but because I had changed. You see, money is not persuaded by anxiety. It is drawn to certainty. Prosperity does not obey those who doubt. It obeys those who speak as though the answer is already theirs. From that day, I acted in alignment with my declaration. I refused to entertain thoughts of lack. I trained my words to agree only with my destiny. I celebrated every small sign of increase as if billions were already mine. And then, as night follows day, the evidence appeared. Opportunities I did not pursue came to my door. Ideas flowed like a waterfall. People spoke my name in rooms I had never entered. The declaration I made in faith became the reality I walked in. One statement spoken with authority is a seed. When planted in the soil of unwavering belief, it will grow into a harvest beyond imagination. So I say to you today, choose your words with the care of a jeweler setting diamonds. Speak only those that sparkle with truth and abundance. For your tongue is the architect of your fortune, and your declaration is the blueprint. Say it now, say it with certainty, and watch your billions take form. When you truly understand that words are not merely sounds but living forces, you begin to treat them with the reverence of priceless treasures. Every word you speak carries a vibration, and that vibration shapes the invisible currents around you. When spoken with certainty, your words become laws, commands to the unseen that shape events, open doors, and draw to you the exact conditions you have named. This is not about wishful thinking or idle chatter. It is about aligning your speech with the unshakable knowledge that what you say in faith is already accomplished in the realm beyond sight. Imagine a judge in a courtroom. When the judge speaks, their words are not mere suggestions, they are binding. The decision is final, and it sets in motion the processes that enforce it. In much the same way, when you speak with the full authority of your inner conviction, the universe responds as if a decree has been issued. There is no room for hesitation, no uncertainty in your tone. The energy of certainty is magnetic. It pulls the unseen into the seen. You become the legislator of your life, passing laws through your declarations, and reality has no choice but to comply. But authority in speech is not something that comes from volume or force. It comes from alignment. You cannot speak one thing and secretly believe another. A split tongue yields no harvest. Your inner belief and your spoken word must be in perfect agreement. When the inner and outer match, the word is charged with power. It moves with precision, carving new pathways in circumstances, drawing resources, orchestrating meetings, and bending outcomes in your favor. This is why idle complaints, self-deprecating jokes, and words of lack are so dangerous. They are also laws, but ones that write scarcity into your script. To make your words law, you must first recognize the weight they carry. You must see each word as a seed dropped into the soil of your life. Careless speech plants weeds, and weeds will grow just as faithfully as roses. If you wish to create abundance, speak abundance. If you wish to create health, speak health. You cannot plant thorns and expect blossoms. Every sentence you utter is an instruction to the unseen forces that shape your world. Whether you are aware of it or not, your speech is giving orders every moment. Think of your words as contracts. Once you sign a contract, you are bound to its terms. When you say, "I can never get ahead," you have signed a contract for lack. When you say, "Opportunities are pouring into my life," you have signed a contract for increase. The energy behind your words does not argue with you. It simply fulfills your order. This is why the wise are slow to speak, but deliberate in choosing every phrase. They understand that once a decree leaves their lips, it sets out to fulfill itself without fail. The transformation begins when you become conscious of your speech and refuse to utter anything you do not want to see manifested. You begin to speak only in the language of the outcome you desire. You affirm wealth, health, love, and success not as something you hope for, but as something that is now. The more you do this, the more your words are infused with authority, and the more reality bends to match them. Eventually, you reach a point where your declarations carry such weight that they seem to manifest almost instantly. At that stage, you no longer speak to describe life, you speak to design it. Your words have become law, and law cannot be broken. There is a vast difference between begging for what you want and declaring it as already yours. Begging comes from a place of lack, from the assumption that you do not yet have what you desire and must somehow persuade a higher power, fate, or circumstance to give it to you. A beggar's tone is heavy with uncertainty, and uncertainty repels the very thing you seek. Declaration, on the other hand, is born from a deep inner knowing. It is the confident statement of a fact, not a request, not a plea, but an announcement of truth. When you declare something, you are not asking for permission to have it. You are announcing that it already belongs to you, and you are now stepping into the experience of it. When you beg, your energy says, "I do not have." Every word reinforces the gap between you and your desire. That gap becomes the lens through which you see the world, and life reflects it back to you in the form of delays, obstacles, and more longing. When you declare, your energy says, "I already have." You speak from the position of the one who has received. You shift yourself into the frequency of ownership, and in that state, your desire moves toward you naturally, drawn as if by an invisible current. Consider the difference between a servant who timidly asks for a favor and a king who issues a royal decree. The servant waits for approval, wondering whether the request will be granted. The king speaks as if it is already done, and the machinery of the kingdom immediately moves to fulfill it. Life responds to you according to the role you choose to play. If you speak as a beggar, you will wait and wonder. If you speak as a ruler, your words set creation into motion. To declare effectively, you must speak from the end result, not from the desire. You do not say, "I hope one day I will be wealthy," for that frames wealth as distant and uncertain. You say, "I live in overflowing abundance now," because that places you mentally and emotionally inside the reality you wish to experience. The declaration is not dependent on your current bank account or surroundings. It is anchored in the unshakable belief that your spoken word holds creative power. The strength of a declaration comes from conviction, not from repetition alone. You could repeat the same words 1,000 times, but if you say them with the energy of doubt, they remain hollow. A single statement spoken in full belief carries more force than endless muttering of wishful phrases. Conviction is cultivated through awareness, becoming so certain of your worth, your connection to infinite supply, and the authority of your word that you can speak a thing once and know it is done. Begging puts you in the posture of waiting. Declaration puts you in the posture of receiving. When you wait, you often look for signs that your request is being granted, and the absence of those signs feeds your doubt. When you receive, you live as if it has already been given, and that certainty draws evidence to you with astonishing speed. The universe does not need to be convinced. It needs to be instructed. Your declaration is that instruction, and it must be clear, confident, and unwavering. Once you truly grasp this, you will never again plead for your desires. You will understand that you are not here to convince the unseen to bless you. You are here to align yourself with the truth that you are already blessed. You will speak as one who has the authority to shape reality, and in that moment, your words will become a command that life rushes to obey. The difference is night and day. The beggar waits for a door to open. The declarer walks through it as if it were already wide open. There is a vast difference between begging for what you want and declaring it as already yours. Begging comes from a place of lack, from the assumption that you do not yet have what you desire and must somehow persuade a higher power, fate, or circumstance to give it to you. A beggar's tone is heavy with uncertainty, and uncertainty repels the very thing you seek. Declaration, on the other hand, is born from a deep inner knowing. It is the confident statement of a fact, not a request, not a plea, but an announcement of truth. When you declare something, you are not asking for permission to have it. You are announcing that it already belongs to you, and you are now stepping into the experience of it. When you beg, your energy says, "I do not have." Every word reinforces the gap between you and your desire. That gap becomes the lens through which you see the world, and life reflects it back to you in the form of delays, obstacles, and more longing. When you declare, your energy says, "I already have." You speak from the position of the one who has received. You shift yourself into the frequency of ownership, and in that state, your desire moves toward you naturally, drawn as if by an invisible current. Consider the difference between a servant who timidly asks for a favor and a king who issues a royal decree. The servant waits for approval, wondering whether the request will be granted. The king speaks as if it is already done, and the machinery of the kingdom immediately moves to fulfill it. Life responds to you according to the role you choose to play. If you speak as a beggar, you will wait and wonder. If you speak as a ruler, your words set creation into motion. To declare effectively, you must speak from the end result, not from the desire. You do not say, "I hope one day I will be wealthy," for that frames wealth as distant and uncertain. You say, "I live in overflowing abundance now," because that places you mentally and emotionally inside the reality you wish to experience. The declaration is not dependent on your current bank account or surroundings. It is anchored in the unshakable belief that your spoken word holds creative power. The strength of a declaration comes from conviction, not from repetition alone. You could repeat the same words 1,000 times, but if you say them with the energy of doubt, they remain hollow. A single statement spoken in full belief carries more force than endless muttering of wishful phrases. Conviction is cultivated through awareness, becoming so certain of your worth, your connection to infinite supply, and the authority of your word that you can speak a thing once and know it is done. Begging puts you in the posture of waiting. Declaration puts you in the posture of receiving. When you wait, you often look for signs that your request is being granted, and the absence of those signs feeds your doubt. When you receive, you live as if it has already been given, and that certainty draws evidence to you with astonishing speed. The universe does not need to be convinced, it needs to be instructed. Your declaration is that instruction, and it must be clear, confident, and unwavering. Once you truly grasp this, you will never again plead for your desires. You will understand that you are not here to convince the unseen to bless you. You are here to align yourself with the truth that you are already blessed. You will speak as one who has the authority to shape reality, and in that moment, your words will become a command that life rushes to obey. The difference is night and day. The beggar waits for a door to open. The declarer walks through it as if it were already wide open. Everything begins within. Long before circumstances rearrange themselves, long before opportunities knock, there is a subtle but undeniable transformation that must happen in the hidden chambers of the mind and heart. This is the inner shift, the quiet turning of belief, perspective, and identity that precedes every lasting change in the outer world. Many try to alter their external conditions while remaining the same person inwardly, but without this internal alignment, the results are fragile or short-lived. The world you see is a mirror, and that mirror only reflects who you believe yourself to be. An inner shift is not about acquiring something new. It is about releasing the false layers that kept you from seeing yourself as already whole, already worthy, already capable. The moment you truly accept that you are deserving of abundance, health, love, or success, you change the very vibration you radiate. This change cannot be faked, for it is felt at the deepest level. You might say all the right affirmations and take all the right actions, but if your inner image still whispers, "I am not enough," or "I do not deserve this," the outer world will echo that belief back to you. When you place inner transformation first, you approach life differently. You stop chasing outcomes as if they are far away, and you begin living in harmony with the reality you wish to experience. If you desire wealth, you begin thinking, feeling, and acting as one who is already wealthy in spirit. This does not mean reckless spending. It means making decisions from a place of confidence, generosity, and expectation of increase. If you desire love, you cultivate the qualities of someone who is already cherished, self-respect, joy, and openness. Your internal state becomes the magnetic field that draws matching circumstances to you. This shift is often subtle at first. You may notice that the old triggers lose their power, that situations which once made you feel small now leave you unmoved. The stories you used to tell yourself dissolve, replaced by new narratives in which you are the creator, not the victim. As your inner posture changes, so does the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you respond to life. Without even trying, you begin to send out a signal that others can sense. Opportunities respond to that signal, people feel it and treat you accordingly. The beauty of the inner shift is that it creates stability. External gains without inner change can vanish as quickly as they arrive because the foundation has not been strengthened. But when your identity has been rewired to match your desired reality, even if something is temporarily removed from your life, it returns, often multiplied, because your inner state demands it. The outer must conform to the inner, just as the shadow must follow the body. This is why those who focus solely on external hustle often find themselves exhausted, chasing results that slip through their fingers. They are trying to move the reflection in the mirror instead of adjusting the image it reflects. But when you turn inward and shift the way you think, feel, and see yourself, you no longer chase. You attract, you no longer push against the world, you move with it, confident that what matches your new inner identity cannot help but appear. The moment you experience this shift, the outer world may take time to catch up, but it is already in motion. Like a seed germinating beneath the soil, the evidence is unseen at first, yet inevitable. Once the inner world is aligned, the outer world has no choice but to follow suit, and the life you once dreamed of becomes the life you simply live. Consistency is the bridge between a declaration and its manifestation. It is not enough to speak powerful words once and then drift back into old habits of thought and action. Alignment means your thoughts, emotions, words, and behaviors all point in the same direction, carrying the same vibration as the reality you want to experience. Consistent alignment means you hold that vibration steadily, day after day, in both quiet moments and in the face of challenges. This is where many falter. They declare abundance but speak of lack. They visualize success but act from fear. They affirm love but expect rejection. The power is lost when there is a gap between what you say you want and how you live. True alignment is like tuning a musical instrument. If one string is off, the entire sound is affected. In the same way, if one area of your inner or outer life contradicts your intention, the signal you send is distorted. You cannot expect a clear outcome from a mixed message. Consistent alignment refines that signal until it is pure, unwavering, and irresistible to the matching experiences it draws. This means speaking, thinking, and acting as if your desire is already here, not just when it feels easy, but especially when it feels tested. Every choice you make either strengthens or weakens your alignment. The foods you eat, the company you keep, the entertainment you consume, the way you spend your time, all of these contribute to the frequency you hold. If you desire wealth but continually surround yourself with scarcity talk, or you desire peace but feed your mind with constant drama, you are pulling yourself out of alignment without realizing it. Consistency is about creating an environment, internally and externally, that reinforces your desired reality at all times. This is not about perfection or never having a doubtful thought. It is about creating a dominant pattern that is in harmony with your intention. Doubt may appear, but you do not dwell there. Fear may knock, but you do not invite it in. You return again and again to the mental and emotional state of your chosen reality. Over time, this return becomes easier because it becomes your default. The more you practice alignment, the less effort it takes. Consistency also requires patience. Many people give up too soon because they expect immediate results, and when nothing appears instantly, they revert to their old ways of thinking and acting. But consistent alignment understands that results are not random. They are the inevitable harvest of a maintained vibration. You cannot plant seeds one day, dig them up the next to see if they are growing, and expect a flourishing garden. You plant, you nurture, you trust, and you remain aligned until the manifestation is visible. Even when circumstances seem to contradict your desire, consistent alignment holds steady. This steadiness is what signals to the unseen that you are serious, that you are not swayed by appearances, and that you trust the process. The moment you abandon your alignment, you interrupt the momentum that has been building. But when you persist, your alignment becomes unshakable, and your reality must adjust to match it. The magic of consistent alignment is that it eventually becomes who you are. You no longer have to remember to align because you live from that state naturally. Your words match your thoughts, your feelings match your words, and your actions match your feelings. When all parts of you are in agreement, the universe has no choice but to reflect that agreement back to you in tangible form. At that point, manifestation stops feeling like a pursuit and starts feeling like a natural unfolding of the life you have already claimed within. When you are on the path to greater abundance, it is essential to notice and honor every sign that your desire is taking form, no matter how small it may seem. These early signs are like the first shoots of green breaking through the soil, proof that the seed you planted is alive and growing. Too often, People dismiss these small beginnings because they are focused on the grand result. They see a minor opportunity, a small financial gain, or a simple act of kindness as insignificant, when in reality, these are the first visible manifestations of the vibration they have been holding. Celebrating them magnifies their energy, which accelerates the arrival of even greater evidence. Celebration is not just a gesture, it is an act of faith. When you rejoice over small increases, you are saying to the universe, I recognize your movement on my behalf, and I trust that more is on the way. This trust creates momentum. It's as if you are turning up the volume on the frequency you are broadcasting, making it easier for more matching experiences to find you. Ignoring or dismissing small blessings, on the other hand, can signal that you are not paying attention or that you do not value what is arriving, which can slow down the flow. Imagine planting an orchard and seeing the first tiny fruit appear on a branch. You would not say, "This is too small to matter." You would be thrilled, because that first fruit is proof that the tree is healthy and capable of producing more. In the same way, when you receive unexpected compliments, new ideas, small increases in income, or opportunities to expand, you should meet them with gratitude and enthusiasm. Your celebration tells the unseen forces that you are in harmony with the process and ready for more. This approach also shifts your focus from lack to abundance. The more you notice what is increasing, the less attention you give to what is missing. Your energy moves toward appreciation, and appreciation is a magnet for more things to appreciate. Even the smallest sign can be a powerful anchor for your faith. Perhaps you desire a large financial windfall, and you receive a modest discount on something you needed. You could see it as insignificant, or you could say, "This is the universe showing me that I am in the flow of receiving. More is coming." That perspective change keeps you aligned with the outcome you want. Celebrating signs of increase also trains your mind to expect good things. The human mind naturally looks for patterns, and when you consistently notice and appreciate signs of growth, you teach yourself to see abundance everywhere. This strengthens your belief and reduces the effort needed to maintain your vibration. Over time, these signs will come faster, and they will grow in magnitude because your awareness and gratitude are creating a fertile environment for them. Some people wait until they have reached the finish line before allowing themselves to feel joy, but that delay robs them of the energy that would carry them there more quickly. Celebration now is part of the manifestation process, not something reserved for later. When you treat every sign as a valuable step toward your goal, you create a continuous flow of positive momentum. The journey becomes enjoyable instead of a tense wait for results, and that joy itself draws more reasons to celebrate. By valuing every sign of increase, you acknowledge that the process is already working. You affirm that what you desire is not just a distant possibility, but an unfolding reality. Each celebration becomes a declaration. I am in the flow. My abundance is growing. More is coming. And when you hold that vibration consistently, the small beginnings inevitably lead to the full manifestation you have been envisioning. Your destiny is not something that drifts toward you by chance. It is something you call into being with the words you speak. Every sentence you utter carries the power to shape the path ahead, planting seeds that will grow into experiences, opportunities, and outcomes. Speaking your destiny is not about idle conversation or poetic imagery. It is the conscious act of using language as a tool to design your life. You are constantly narrating your future, whether you are aware of it or not. When you speak with intention, you take control of that narration, directing it toward the reality you wish to live. Words are more than descriptions. They are declarations that instruct your mind, your body, and the unseen forces around you. When you say, I am healthy, strong, and full of energy, you are not merely describing a current state. You are programming your mind to create that state, and you are setting in motion the chain of events that supports it. When you say, I am surrounded by opportunities and success flows to me easily, you are giving life to that experience before it arrives. This is why careless words are so costly. Statements like, I'm always broke, nothing works out for me, or I'm unlucky, are just as creative, but they design a future you would rather avoid. Speaking your destiny requires that you see yourself as the author, not the spectator, of your life story. This means that you do not simply comment on what is happening. You speak what is to come as though it is already here. You choose words that align with your highest vision, and you speak them with authority and conviction. The more you do this, the more your spoken reality becomes your lived reality, because your words influence your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your emotions, and your emotions dictate the actions you take. Over time, your consistent declarations form the blueprint that life follows. When you speak your destiny, you speak from the end. You bypass the question of how will it happen, and anchor yourself in the knowing that it already exists in the unseen, awaiting your alignment. You might say, I am the owner of a thriving business, even if you have not yet opened one. You might affirm, I live in perfect love and harmony. Even if your current relationships are challenging, you do this not to deny present reality, but to create a greater reality that will soon replace it. You speak what you desire until your mind accepts it as fact, and once your mind accepts it, your actions naturally follow. The tone of your words matters as much as the content. Destiny is not spoken with hesitation, it is spoken with certainty. Even if your voice is quiet, it must carry the energy of someone who knows. This certainty is what activates faith, and faith is what pulls the unseen into the seen. When you doubt, your words lose power. When you believe, even a single sentence can move mountains. Speaking your destiny is also a daily practice. It is not something you do once and forget. You weave your declarations into the fabric of your life, in the morning as you rise, during quiet moments throughout the day, and at night before you sleep. Over time, these words become so natural that they replace any internal dialogue of fear or limitation. Eventually, you no longer speak your destiny just as an act of creation. You speak it as an expression of who you are. At that point, your words and your reality are one, and what you have been declaring all along stands before you in full form. So I say to you, stand in the center of your own power and speak your destiny into existence, not tomorrow, not when the conditions seem perfect, but now. One declaration, spoken in unshakable certainty, can open doors no man can close and summon wealth that cannot be measured. The moment you speak as the owner of your abundance, life rearranges itself to agree with you. Say it, believe it, live it, and watch the billions you have claimed rise to greet you. Your word is your wealth, and today your fortune begins with your voice.